I feel like dog shit. Here we go.
Gotta be quick. We have 2 movies.
No, we can talk about it both. They both suck. Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. It's our condensed ultra October edition. We're doing the whole month in one night, and we're San Sean, so we're just gonna power through it. We watched 2 entire films. We watched Azul Beetle, and we watched fucking.
Didn't bother to learn what Beetle was in Spanish.
I didn't bother to try. Beetle maybe, and then we watched The Dark Tower, which was.
Oh, God.
With every one of its 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, I mean, that was painful.
That movie sucked.
I'm gonna bury the lead a little bit and say that the Blue Beetle I didn't think it was horrible, but by
it was just too long.
The Dark Tower is like unbelievably bad.
I don't know what they were trying to do with The Dark Tower. I'm going to be honest. I've read the first book, and I've read half of the second book.
I've read every single one, and I want to go ahead and start by saying that I'm not going to make this whole show, in the book, because nobody cares. But I will just say, just now, as a blanket statement, it is so far removed from anything in the book, any of the books, it's not even worth comparing. Like, it's just not this. It's not.
It's kind of like iRobot versus the movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good comparison, actually. Which, by the way, guys, I don't know if you knew this or not. That script was originally called like Haywire or something. It wasn't even an iRobot script,
right?
But they just had the rights to make it iRobot, so they were like, fuck it, make it iRobot.
Fun fact: iRobot, pretty good book.
I've never read it, actually.
It's really good.
I find Asimov stuff kind of stale. I don't know.
I liked it a lot.
I read one of the Foundation books. That was enough for me. All right, anyway. Alec, you like books.
Sometimes.
There it is.
Do we want to do what we watched this week since we got 2 movies to do, or just plow through into the movies? It's up to you guys. I only watched one thing.
Let me see how many things I watched, and then I'll let you know.
I watched 2 things that I can remember.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just do it.
I'll be very brief about mine.
Mine's going to be quick, too.
I watched Apollo 13. I love that movie. I always love that movie. I will always love that movie. I watched a crummy movie from 2017 called The Pyramid that's currently on HBO. It's trash. It's just awful. Yeah, it's like a horror movie, but it's real bad. Don't watch it. It's ass and more ass. Should be called The Acinid. And then the last thing I watched was 2023's Renfield, and I'm going to say this about that movie. It opened strong, and I feel like it finished weak. Like, I really liked it in the beginning, and then the back half of that movie kind of fell apart for me, despite the fact that I really liked what Nick Cage was doing, and I really liked what, was it, I can never think, was it
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult. And I liked Aquafina in it, and I liked, John Ralphio in it, but it just kind of all fell apart on the back 9 for me.
I want to see it. Most people have given me pretty positive feedback on that one. I got around to it.
And I loved the hyper-violence. Like, it is...
Oh, yeah, it is.
Insanely violent and bloody and gory. Like, ridiculous.
It is over the top gruesome. But I'm saying the first half, really liked it. Second half, not so much. The guy did direct... His directing history is suspect. He did Lego Batman, which I love, but he did the Tomorrow War, which sucked. So, here we are.
Lego Batman was good, though.
Lego Batman was great. He's not bad. It's just like I feel like it lost me on the back 9. Your mileage may vary, but that's everything I did. Alec, have you compiled your list?
Yeah, I watched 3 things.
3 things?
I watched Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe with
Oh yeah, I watched that with you.
Yeah, you watched that over here while we were high.
I forgot we watched that. I loved it. You had seen that several times, right? That's what you guys were saying?
I've probably
like a comfort
seen
movie,
that
right?
movie
for you?
like 8 times in the past year.
Dude.
Not even necessarily a comfort movie, but every time we get high, it ends up going. We'll watch something, and then after that, we'll watch Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. And every time, it gets funnier.
Dude, it's so
funny.
I
want that experience. I want to do that with you guys.
It's like so funny. Like, it's so stupid, and it's like, that's why it's so funny, because it's literally just the same joke for an hour and a half, but it's so goddamn funny. Like, it's great.
It's the same joke they told 20 years ago.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But just, Mike Judge is so brilliant with it, it doesn't get old.
Yeah, it's very funny. I loved it. I forgot that we watched it, but yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
But I've talked about that probably like 5 times this year already. I watched Hot Tub Time Machine 2, which is not as good as Hot Tub Time Machine 1. It's fine. If you like Rob Corddry and want him to be pretty much your main character, you'll like it. Rob Corddry is okay, in my opinion.
I like Rob Corddry. I don't know if I like him as a lead.
What's the plot? Because he got Lugal and he got super rich in the last one. Is this basically...
He's having a party in this one, and somebody shoots him in the dick at the party. So they use the Hot Tub Time Machine to go to the future to fight, because they find out that whoever shot him came from the future. He did something to somebody. So they go to the future to find out who shot him and shot his dick off.
Oh. Okay.
It's fine. Like, it had a few laughs. Clark Dukes, I do not find all that funny. He's funny. I'll take that back. I don't find him that funny in this. He's funny sometimes.
Who's Clark Dukes? I don't think I know.
The guy with the glasses. He's in the first one too. He was in the last season of The Office. You'd know him. You'd know him if you looked him up. Like, you'd recognize him. Like, oh, that guy.
I'm looking at him right now. Continue.
I love Craig Robinson. Adam
great.
Scott's in it. I love Adam Scott. It's got some funny parts, but overall.
Oh, that guy.
It's just kind of a worn out premise.
Clark Dukes, famously in one of the most mid comedies ever, Sex Drive.
He's the guy that's not.
He's not Jonah Hill, and ironically enough, is in Superbad. He's one of I can't remember the name. He's got a very minor part. The girl that hooks up with Michael Cera, it's one of her friends at the party. He's there. So anyway.
But he was in the first Hot Tub Time Machine. He's the one that almost got, what's his name's mom? He almost got banged. He got almost.
Yeah, they find out
Marty McFly.
That Lou is his dad.
Yeah.
And I don't remember with his mom.
I remember.
He almost fades out of existence.
Nothing about that movie. I remember it ends with.
Yeah, that's funny in the first, because Lou's in the middle of having sex with his mom. And he knocks Lou out, and then he immediately vanishes from existence.
That's pretty.
And that's when they figure out that he's the dad, and John Cusack makes Lou get back on his sister and finish. That Clark comes back into existence, which is a pretty funny joke. But it doesn't work in the second one as well. The third thing I watched is a movie. There's a Netflix original called Wendell and Wild. It's an animated movie from the writer and director. And, I guess just writer and director of Coraline.
I like that.
And it's in the same theme. It's not as good as Coraline, but I still enjoyed it a lot. Wendell and Wild are two lower level demons, like in Satan's realm, voiced by Key and Peele.
I remember seeing a trailer for this. It looked really good.
I thought it was pretty good. It's not as good as Coraline. Coraline, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best stop motion things ever made. Coraline is.
Oh yeah.
Never saw Coraline.
It's
awesome.
The acting is great. The clay work is fantastic.
Yeah,
everything in it is.
It's
so
Henry Selick, the guy that directed Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach.
I didn't realize he directed Nightmare Before Christmas too.
Yeah, everybody thinks Tim Burton did because his name's on it, but no, Henry Selick actually directed it. And Henry Selick worked with Tim Burton. Anytime you see stop motion stuff in Tim Burton movies, it was Henry Selick. He also did the stop motion parts in Life Aquatic, which are super cool. Henry Selick rocks. He's one of these guys that's super creative and awesome, but no one knows his name. He's great.
Yeah, he's a talented guy.
I mean, I need to watch that movie. I saw a trailer. It came out last year. I saw a trailer for it, and I thought it looked really good, and I just never got around to watching it. Most Netflix things.
I said, it was pretty good, but I wouldn't put it on the same level as Coraline, but I still liked it and enjoyed it. basically they're two demons who are trying to corrupt this girl whose parents died like a year before, or no, maybe not a year before, in a car crash. And they have a way to like bring their parents back to life, but if she helps them do blah, 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 so they can get out from under the devil's thumb. But yeah, check that out. I was just trying to watch like spooky movies for Halloween.
Yeah.
It's the reason for the season.
The reason for the season is pleasing.
That's it. Did you already go, TJ?
No, I only watched one thing. It was fucking terrible, and I don't know why I keep watching these fucking movies. I watched the newest VHS movie, VHS 84. I can tell you exactly why I watched it, because I watched it right before we were going to record last week, just because I felt like I needed to watch something to talk about, and it's like 87 minutes, I think. It's so fucking bad. And I hate to say it because he's kind of a friend of the show, but Scott Derrickson makes one of the shorts. I'm not sure which one, but they're all terrible, so it doesn't matter.
He's kind of a friend of the show. Like, he shouldn't be. He directed Doctor Strange 2, didn't he?
No, he directed Doctor Strange 1.
Never mind. You're right.
That's why
Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange 2.
That's
Sam
why
Raimi definitely. I will not allow him to be a friend of the show.
That's why Scott Adkins is in Doctor Strange 1, because Scott Derrickson directed, I think, Ninja 2. Fucking Sean knows. Sean will be yelling at me.
Ninja 2, the one where he becomes addicted to like crystal meth and just,
I can't remember smoking out of a fucking light bulb. That
movie fucking rocks. And I want to say Scott Derrickson's father directed the sequel to 2001, which I really like that nobody likes. But anyway, VHS 84 is garbage. It's so like, it's supposed to be obviously with the best thing about the 1984 movie is the poster. The poster's sick. It looks really cool. It's got like a great like 80s aesthetic. But that's just the problem, right? Like with the 80s aesthetic, you would assume that the stories would reflect that, and they really don't. And like the one is like about like virtual reality. The only one of these shorts that I thought was kind of interesting has no place in a movie that's supposed to be in the 80s, where it's basically this woman is in the middle of a performance piece, and she basically turns her performance piece into like a seance, or like a summoning, I guess you would call it. But she's summoning like a digital demon, and like I'm like, you got something there. That's a kernel of an idea, and then it just goes nowhere. It's real bad. I would not recommend it. It's awful. Stop making these fucking movies. I don't know why they keep making them. They're already making the next one. Apparently, it's in space. So yeah, there you go. That's where all good franchises go.
Oh, you still have VHS tapes in space.
Dude, I don't. The problem with most of the shorts is that they abscond with the fucking found footageness of it, like immediately. You're like, why would you be holding the camera?
Oh,
in space, no one can hear you push the rewind button.
That was one of the problems with that Pyramid movie I was talking about. It's a found footage movie,
God.
But it's one of those ones that it forgets that it's found footage because there's shots of them.
You mean like all of them? That's my problem with
they
all
abandon
of them.
it, and then they come back to it, and then they abandon it, then they come back to it. Like, if you're gonna do it, right?
That's my problem. I mean, that's my problem with 90% of found footage movies, is that they want to add fucking music and cuts, and it's just like, stick to it. Like, if you're gonna do it, stick to it.
Is Blair Witch the best? Obviously.
Yeah, I would say. I think
Chronicles up there.
Chronicles really good.
Any issues with that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
they're still one of like the most astounding films I've ever seen.
Yeah, Cloverfield's good. Cloverfield has some moments where it kind of breaks, but it's fine. I really like Cloverfield also. I'd still think out of like pure like proof of concept and execution on that would be Blair Witch, especially if you're our age and you remember like how crazy people got around that.
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever scared me that bad.
But like remember how
people thinking it was legit real.
Yeah, people thought it was real, like really, like, and it's a perspective that like people nowadays just can't get. Like, and then when people found out it wasn't, like people seemed to got like mad about it. It was wild.
People were upset.
Anyway, let's get into it. We got 2 movies to talk about. Sean's not here this week. He is, you know what he's doing. He's at the National Father Sucking Convention. And
we're pulling for him. He won regionals
too. Oh, speaking of father sucking and competition, Did you all see the guy
Can't wait to see where this is going.
That's a hell of a lead-in.
Did y'all see that the guy, he's like a real bro. The guy that came in to play quarterback for the Bears last week, he's like super bro. He's got all these like wolf tattoos on his chest and shit. Anyway, his father is the national like arm wrestling champion. He's literally like fucking what's his name in Over the Top.
Lincoln
Hawks.
Or Lincoln Hawk, whatever.
Yeah, he's literally like
in the movie.
He's like the intercontinental arm wrestling.
Wait, John is his name? Is his dad
Fucking
John?
hilarious.
Whatever.
I don't know. I don't remember, but I just thought it was really funny because like that guy. They asked him like, hey, if because he was like a third string quarterback on a nothing team. I think he was drafted super late. They're like, did you have any plans if you never played in the NFL? And he's like, oh, I think I get like really jacked and work at like the Radio Shack or something. And then you come to find out his dad is an arm wrestling champion. It's like, it sounds like something out of like a fucking, what's that guy's name? Jared Hess movie. Like the guy that made Napoleon Dynamite.
Isn't that what Blake Bortles said on interviews? Like, if you weren't playing football, what you do is, I don't know, smoking darts, doing construction. It's like, okay.
That sounds about right. It's banging hot ass chicks. Anyway. Let's get in. Which movie do we want to do first? Let's do Blue Beetle first.
Yeah, do them in order.
Fine.
Let's do Blue Beetle first. Blue Beetle is the next movie in the DCEU that may or may not be in continuity with the James Gunn stuff. I don't know.
Or the first movie in the DCEU. Who knows?
I have no idea. It is so fucking confusing. But yeah, Gogs, what happened in Blue Beetle 2023? Came out this year, right?
Yeah, it's 2023.
Came out like a couple weeks ago, I think. A month ago.
So, Blue Beetle, a young man graduates from science college and comes back home to
not LA.
Yeah, not LA, Mega City 1, Mexico edition, and you find out that the whole town is being taken over by not the Stark Corporation, but a company called Cord. I guess, hold on, run it back. Somewhere in a desert somewhere, somebody found an orb, and they cracked it open, and they think that that's where it might be. And then you're like, Susan Sarandon's all juicy for it. So you're like, all right, I don't know what this is about. So this kid comes back, and he needs to find something to do with his life. And he goes and hangs out with his family, including George Lopez, and his dad, and his mom, and his sister, and his abuela, and they're hanging out, and you find out the dad had a heart attack and lost the shop, and now the evil mega company is going to take their house, so he really needs to find a job with his engineering degree. I think it was engineering, and he ends up cleaning fancy toilets and chaise lounges at a ritzy hotel complex or some such, and then he stands up to Susan Sarandon, who is belittling her niece because Susan Sarandon is in charge of the Cord Company, and she is trying to make an army of ESWATs, basically.
ESWAT, holy shit! No one is going to get that reference. That is the deepest of Sega Genesis cuts ever. Impressive. I'll give you that.
But so she wants to take over.
E-SWAT, kid.
Yeah, everybody Google E-SWAT. She wants to take over Army, so this is what she's doing now. But the daughter doesn't like this because she wants to use the Cord family name for peaceful things. So through a series of mishaps and what have yous, the daughter steals the Beetle, the titular Blue Beetle that they're trying to genocide out the robot people from. And she hides it in a burger box and hands it to this kid who she met, and she said she'd give him a job. His name's Jaime, I believe. Jaime, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
So she gives him the box, and then he takes it back to his house, and his family, he's like, I'm not supposed to open the box. And they start fucking with the box, and they find the Blue Beetle in it, and it's fucking around with it, and then all of a sudden the Beetle like turns him into the lawnmower man, like it assimilates him. It burns all his clothes off. Like his clothes budget must be silly by the end of this film. And like he becomes like a liquid metal robot bug person, and he's got like, it's basically, I think I told everybody, it's like Iron Man Homecoming, because it's an Iron Man suit,
But
it's got like a.
it's kind of like Venom too. It's like an Iron Man-y Venom kind of thing.
But it's like that scene where Peter Parker's learning, he's talking to Friday or whoever's in the Spider-Man suit in Homecoming, and she's like, do you want to go into kill mode? And like, how do you want to try these things? They run all their protocols, and he cuts a bus in half. Actually, all the action and fighting scenes in this movie, not bad. Like, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah.
So then it becomes like, okay, we gotta get the Blue Beetle thing out of this kid. Then how do we do that? And okay, let's go to my secret family mansion. Then we learn about how my dad was the original Blue Beetle. Like, it just keeps going on. And then at some point, like, there's a standoff at Jaime's house between the bad company, to the day I die, and then the fucking, and the family, and the Blue Beetle's like trying to do it all with sound waves and like non-lethal. He ditches the non-lethal by the end of the film, might I add. But he tries to go non-lethal in the beginning. And then he gets, like, stolen away. And at this point in the movie, I did the thing where I checked to see how much movie was left. And I thought this was the third act. I thought we were rising into the end of this film. There was a whole hour left. And I was like, oh, no. So then they take him back to their secret science fortress. And they suck him up to – all these movies now have milking machines. They start milking him for technology so they can turn the half-android man – into basically the Ironmonger version of this, because this is just Iron Man. So they make, like, the Red Scarab or whatever the fuck he's going to be called, the Rojo Scorpion. And then they fucking family takes the owl ship from Watchmen and takes that to the science fortress, smashes into that, farts all over the guards, stabs them to death with beetle legs. Grandma is reliving her revolutionary days and miniguns a whole bunch of people to death. They eventually save Jaime, sort of. They get him loose, and then they fight all through the fortress. He ends up fighting the red guy. The red guy, you get the only thing in this movie that carried any emotional weight whatsoever was his, like, brain transference flashback where you found he was like a child soldier who's been abused his whole life. And he's just been led down this awful path, and you're like, Jesus, this is dark, and I'm sympathetic. And then he marches Susan Sarandon off to die in atomic fire. Then the entire place blows up, and now the Blue Beetle is the hero of whatever the town was called, New Mexico, or whatever the hell.
New Mexico.
And he's now dating this rich chick, and every time he turns into a superhero, his clothes burn off, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's an hour too long.
Yeah, it's a little too long. It's you know what? My biggest problem with this movie is how it looks. Not in the action sequences, like you said. I thought the action sequences were shot really well.
Legit.
It's the weird, like, when they're, like, starting the movie, like, anytime there's supposed to be a shot that's, like normal neighborhood, like, there's this weird uncanny valley going on with, like, the backgrounds. Like, I said it to Alec while we were watching it.
If your big budget action movie is going to put more money into backgrounds or the action, which would you prefer?
I mean, you're right, but it still looks really weird. Like
it did. Like it looked like painted. It looked like old painted backgrounds from like the 30s or like Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it was very odd, and the color palette in this movie is also very odd. It actually looks, not that anybody knows because they can't see what you guys see, but it looks like this fake gamer cave setup that I have in my Google Meet.
It was very dark wave, synth wave.
Yeah, but nothing. They didn't like expand on that with like the soundtrack or anything like that. There's nothing else that kind of helps that kind of look that the rest of the movie is going for. No. It's kind of weird.
It's an interesting aesthetic that you're right. They didn't lean into in any other way.
It was weird. But honestly, the rest of it was pretty good. I thought the family was entertaining. Like, I thought that the main character, while a little generic, and like, that was kind of that was another problem with the movie. I felt like overall it was kind of derivative. But, like, it wasn't bad. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
The main character was fun. Like, George Lopez wasn't bad in it. I enjoyed him in it.
He was fun. And, like,
I don't know why he had that weird, like, super jammer in the back of his truck that he had, right. But here we are.
He was a scientist, but he did, like, you know, like, street science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I felt like, I mean, the movie overall is pretty enjoyable. It just felt like it felt like stuff I've already seen.
Long, though. It was just too fucking long.
I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like it had some problems. Like it was too long, and like TJ said, the backgrounds at the beginning were like jarring. I
Super
don't know. I don't
distracting.
know if they fixed it as the movie went on, or I just got used to it and didn't notice as much.
I think as it went on, most of the scenes were at night, so it's not as noticeable. But like in the daytime, it was like, oof.
Should have started off like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought the performances were all pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked all the action sequences were awesome.
The action were very good.
If you're gonna rip off a movie to kind of set as your new tone setter for your new universe, rip off Iron Man. There's a reason why Iron Man started the MCU. Like, not that this kid is Robert Downey Jr. or like this is anywhere near as good as Iron Man was, but if you're gonna rip off a movie, may as well swing big. I was just looking up this director's like background. I'm like, I don't know any of the shit he's done. Look at any of the other stuff that he's directed or done. I didn't recognize. But the kid who played the main character is the main character in Cobra Kai.
Oh.
And he's good in that too.
He directed some movie called Charm City Kings, which must be about Baltimore. Interesting. It's about the 12 o'clock boys or something.
I think they made a weird take with Susan Sarandon.
Yeah.
Is the villain. Like, she's not menacing or threatening enough. No. Like, I don't care that it's a woman that they picked, but like, she just doesn't have the, I don't know. I don't find her threatening.
It kind of sucks.
Even when she's trying to be like, be like menacing and evil, just like it just doesn't come off as it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like, she was kind of flat, and also like, I don't know, to me, like all the stuff where it's like, you know, they like, oh, Ted Korg used to be the Blue Beetle and Ted Korg is still around. It was way too much like Ant-Man. Like, this movie is simultaneously Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Iron Man.
You don't need to dump all that lore into a movie introducing a new character.
Yeah, no one cares. Like, no one gives a shit. Like,
it's like very, very derivative of all things MCU.
Well, I just feel like, I mean, like, comic book nerds know who Ted Korg is, but like everybody else watching the movie, who gives a fuck? Like, introduce Ted Korg in the next one.
You know who Ted Korg is?
I have no idea.
Ted Kord's the Blue Beetle in the comics.
Do you know who the Blue Beetle is? He's basically Night Owl in Watchmen. There you go.
He has no powers, and he's not like Batman where he's like a peak human. He's just like a scientist, and he uses like science as his powers.
Yeah, he's not like a martial artist or anything.
He's an Iron Man.
Well, he's literally Night Owl. Like, so when Watchmen was originally conceived, they were going to use all these Charleston comic book characters, and Blue Beetle was Night Owl because then DC wouldn't let them use those characters, so then they had to make all new characters, and Night Owl is what they came up with. So there you go. That's why the Beetle ship looks a lot.
I mean,
like
it looks just like the Owl ship. Yeah,
that's why. But anyway, but yeah, like this movie, like in a weird way, I'm gonna give a weird comparison. You know, we went through a lot of bullshit with the DCEU movies, and then like this is kind of like a comfort movie because it's just like, here, we're just gonna kind of play it safe. Like, this is the Force Awakens of DC movies. Like, they just kind of played the hits and they played it real safe.
I don't really recall. Did it make any reference to any other DC movies in it?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
I think they said something like, "You're a superhero." They're superheroes now. I think they said something like that.
No, they did. They had that awful line in the movie where they're in the Ted Korg's lair, and they're like, "Oh, it's just like Batman." And then George Lopez goes, "Batman's a fascist," and
that was it.
Roll my fucking eyes. It's like, okay,
he's not wrong though.
It's so correct. It's so tiresome. Like, that whole thing is just okay. All right.
He has a coterie of supervillains.
Oh, Peacemaker. That was a good show.
I just watched that clip the other day. It popped up on TikTok. I think it's so fucking funny.
They're doing another season. I can't wait.
Good job, Kansas City Chiefs getting blown out by the Broncos.
Is that for real?
Seriously?
How did I miss that?
24-9.
Oh my God. Well, Nate'll be happy. Anyway, anything else you're going to say about Blue Beetle? We do have a whole other movie to talk about.
Oh, Five Knuckle Shuffles. I give it a 7.
Yeah. Fair.
I liked it. Gogs,
Yeah.
you didn't. You probably would have liked it more if you watched it with us.
Probably did. I watched it by myself. That's a 4 for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it overall though. I would like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing another one where they can get right into the Beatleness and not have to do the first half of the movie intro and explaining the lore of the Scarab or the Beetle or whatever and shit like that.
Doesn't Blue Beetle have like a partner or something typically?
Booster Gold.
Booster Gold, but that's the other Blue Beetle, not this Blue Beetle. Because this Blue Beetle does exist in the comics, like the one that they had in the movie. Like that's
the old white Blue Beetle has Booster Gold, and they're not partners, but they're basically partners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Booster Gold is from the year 3000, and he's like the same thing. He has no powers. He just has like a techno suit that allows him to do things and like travel through time and shit.
Yeah, he's also a celebrity. It's kind of funny, like in the future.
Yeah.
I hope
honestly,
that'd be a fun character.
95% of my knowledge of either one of those characters comes from the Death of Superman arc from like 1995.
God, do you remember
that show? Was it Legend of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
That they had all like the B-list DC ones on with Arrow and everything.
Yeah.
Donald Faison played Booster Gold in that.
Oh, shit. Oh,
and like
cool.
I saw a little like I didn't watch it, but I saw like a clip of him being Booster Gold and like doing shit. And he was really fun.
That's fun.
I like Donald Faison in
the fucking Death of Superman era, the Justice League lineup in that was so bad. It was like
oh my God.
Fire and Ice. You
had Fire and Ice, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Martian Manhunt, not Martian Manhunt, Bloodwind.
Blood, oh my God.
Remember Bloodwind?
Oh, I do.
Maxima Proxima.
God, that was awful.
Shit, there's one more I'm missing.
Those are the world's, none of the big three are in it.
Because when you're like, I think Batman, no, he wasn't even there. Because like when you're thinking of like the Death of Superman, like there's no Aquaman, there's no Martian Manhunter, there's no Batman, there's no Wonder Woman. Like any of the people who could have actually given him like legit help.
Literally like the shittiest.
No Green Lantern. Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner,
but it was with his shitty yellow ring. It wasn't
the
even
yellow lantern. God. That's like, I'm no big Justice League follower, but like, what a fucking lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if at that point they didn't even have a Justice League book.
I don't think they did.
Like, because Superman was in the league at that point, but he's the only one of like, the Flash. Flash is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, none of the big characters were in the Justice League. It's crazy to think about. None of them. Not one.
Well, remember Guardian through that series on his little motorbike, like chasing Doomsday.
God, Guardian. Wasn't there a guy named Gangbuster too? That was like
who looked almost exactly like Guardian, just palette swapped from like yellow to brown.
I think one of the new gods was in there too, like Apollo, maybe. I don't know. Or no, not Apollo. Light Ray. That was his name, Light Ray. Oh,
that shit was awful.
No wonder he died. I'll help you, Fire and Ice.
But like you got Doomsday, who can cave in Superman's chest with a punch, also punched Ice. Like full force in the ribs, and she lived. Yeah. Like it doesn't make any sense. No. Shit makes no sense.
No. Yeah. We got to save Ice.
Anyway.
I'm left. It's a 7 for me also, dog. I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's great. It's not high cinema. It's very derivative, but I enjoyed my time watching it. I don't know if I'd ever revisit it, but it's not the worst thing I've seen.
It is derivative, but I feel like it's derivative of things that I already like, so I don't mind.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree
If
with
you're
that.
gonna copy something good.
Well, it's also not like egregiously boring, which is the most like thing. It's the worst thing you can do. I do agree with Gogs. It is a little too long, and I think they could have cut down. Like honestly,
Like there's slow parts. Like the action scenes are great, but the parts where they're not doing action is kind of
you could kind of cut down the Susan Sarandon parts. You could cut down the going to Ted Korg's lair. It doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, because they go to his lair like 3 times, don't they?
Yeah, and it's for nothing. Like, it's stupid. Anyway. All right, let's get into the Dark Tower. Oh, God. Again, I read all these books. I have mixed feelings on the series as a whole, but the first 4 books are masterpieces. So the one thing I will say is that the books are high concept, high fantasy, Western sci-fi. Now, does that describe anything about this movie?
a little bit.
I mean,
Really?
it describes it.
It describes it. They just didn't do a good job.
They did a good job of executing it.
I mean, like
it felt very Western and very fantasy.
But
Yeah.
most of this fucking movie takes place. This is something I can't stand that they do. It's like in fucking He-Man, they did the same thing. It's like you have this fantasy world, but it's like we got to put 80% of it in the real world. I don't want the real. They even did it in the fucking Mario movie.
You can't see me, but I'm doing the money thing.
Yeah, I know. I hate it though, man. It's so boring. Even the fucking Mario Brothers movie did it. Just you know, like it's like I don't want the real world. Like, get me out of the fucking real world. I'm watching a movie. Like they don't in the. Never mind. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Just know that they don't go to fucking regular Earth almost ever in the series. They never do. Like that. Never.
Well, I just finished the movie a couple hours.
Keystone Earth.
Keystone
yes.
Earth.
It's
basically don't they go to Keystone? Don't they go to Keystone Earth like right in the beginning of the second book?
For like half a second, and it's through a dream. So does that really count? But here's the thing that's just mind numbing about this. Why didn't they just make the Gunslinger? That book is straightforward. It's literally like basically a Western. It only gets weird at the end. And you could easily make it into a 90-minute movie. Just make that.
Well, right. Like, so I guess was the intention, I'll ask this, is the intention that this would be the jumping off point for more Dark Tower movies? Because they really kind of made this
So
contained.
the director says yes. Now, here's the thing that's really...
Randall Flagg.
Right, they killed, Walter O'Dim. He's gone.
That's the same character, by the way.
I know it's the same
you didn't
character.
know, but yeah. Yeah, it's stupid. And also, like, if you want to be like, there are apologists for this movie that are book fans. So, spoiler alerts for the Dark Tower series. Basically, because Stephen King sucks at writing endings, through 8 books, basically the beginning is the end again, is the ending of that story. Like, it goes, once he gets to the Dark Tower and does a whole bunch, Roland does a bunch of other shit, he basically starts at the very beginning of the Gunslinger, where he's following the Man in Black through the desert again. Except this time he has the horn of something or other. I forget what the fuck it's called.
Gondor?
But he has that horn.
Where was Gondor?
Has that horn in this movie. So people have said that this movie actually takes place after the book.
I read that. I read that it's actually a
bullshit.
sequel to the...
I think that is the dumbest bullshit. I think you are trying way too hard for this movie. Anyway, what happened in this movie, guys? I'm sorry. I started the show by saying I wasn't going to talk about the books. You got to understand that the Dark Tower series, for me, is right up there with Dune, where I read it. I spent so much time reading those books and the comics that it's hard for me to not talk about it. You know what I mean? And by the way, again, read the books. It's some of Stephen King's best work. Like, they're really creative and interesting, and there's just a lot of ideas, and the way that they tie it's like Sliders meets Stephen King, because Roland and his group go into different Stephen King stories. That's where you find Randall Flagg. They go to the Stand universe, and they fight at one point. They team up with the priest that was fighting the vampires in Salem Lot. Like, he like ties all his shit into one thing. Like the Pennywise demon exists. He's one of those demons that live
on the
outside
outside of the
Right. The turtle that they introduce in it exists in it's fucking cool. Like, I don't know. I know everybody does like multiverse shit, but he'd been writing this shit. Like, the first Gunslinger book came out in like 81, and it's kind of wild. Like, the end of the series is a little iffy, but man, those first like 5 books are really good. So
I think I'd be pretty pissed off if I got to the end and the end was just like, oh, it's the beginning. I'd be really mad.
Dude, the end sucks because, so like, as he was writing the last book, he literally got hit by a car, like in real life. And it like changed his whole perspective on life. And then the book became about that. And it's like, oh, like, I wish that guy didn't get hit. I wish that guy didn't hit him with a car.
For a couple of reasons, but mainly so better.
Yeah. But I also am very excited that Mike Flanagan is making a Dark Tower TV show, which I think could be great.
Mike Flanagan is just gold all over the place.
I didn't talk about it, but I've only got 2 episodes left of Fall the House of Usher, and it's great. Alec, you were right.
So good.
Very good. Huge fan. A lot of fun.
It's so gross, too.
It's disgusting. It's easy to watch.
What's that dude got against cats?
I'm not a fan of the cat stuff. But you know what that is?
He used to have a lot of problems with cats.
Well, you know what that is? That ties
Midnight
into... But the cat thing ties into Edgar Allan Poe, too. So
I know, but still.
Yeah, I love
He
cats.
changed enough of it, he could have changed that, too. I'm not...
Yeah. Anyway, if you can't...
Did you watch Midnight Mass?
Not yet. I'm going to watch all of his shows now because I haven't watched any of them, and now I like this one so much, I need to go back and watch all of them. Oh. Also, Alec, you'll appreciate this. So when they go back into the 70s, and they meet, what's his name? The main character. I can't think of his fucking name now.
Sure.
No, yeah, the guy that's Pike.
Sure.
I can't think of his name. What's his first name? Anyway, doesn't matter.
In the show?
Yeah, in the show.
I forget.
It doesn't matter.
It's a weird name.
So his wife, I met her at that horror convention in Frederick.
Oh, really?
Her name's Katie Parker. She was super nice. She was literally like, I was walking out to my car and I saw her. I was like, you were an Absentia, right? She's like, yeah. She was like super cool. She came by my booth, looked at my art. She's very nice. But I saw her. I was like, I've met that chick. Anyway. I don't want to talk about the Dark Tower. This movie sucks. Guys, what happened in the Dark Tower?
Alright, so there's sort of a futuristic looking, I don't know, world's worst summer camp, concentration camp for children where they hook them up to a laser beam gun that's sort of like the Dark Crystal and everyone's skin's falling off. And they're taking shots at the Dark Tower.
Command center is known as Blue Heaven in the books.
Well, okay. So was it always Walter O'Dim's goal to take the tower down? It was always Roland's goal to defend it? Because for some reason I thought Roland was trying to destroy the Dark Tower.
Yeah, no, to answer your question. Okay. Roland's primary goal was to kill the Man in Black, who, when he first started going after him, didn't even know that was Walter. Mm-hmm. So it gets a little more complicated as the books go on. But Walter is motivated by the King in Red, or the Crimson King, whose ultimate goal is to take down the tower. But the tower being this shield for the universe, that's not entirely correct either. That's a very simplified version of how they the tower is the nexus of things, but it's not necessarily the shield of the universe.
Like the Macron crystal?
Exactly like that. Also, if we want to get stupid, you know how those kids, they're in pain when they shoot their psychic beams? Mm. Well, those kids are known as breakers, and they actually refer to that when they shoot their mind juice, it's actually euphoric to them. So that's another thing they changed, which I hated. But
anyway. Well, anywho, they're firing kids' psyches off at this tower, and it's causing earthquakes in New York, and there's this other kid that we meet whose name escapes me. Jake, I think, maybe? Or
Jacob.
Luke.
No, it's shit. He's in the books too. I can't
He's
remember his
dead
name.
in the books, right? He got pancaked by a car in the books, if memory serves.
Eventually, yeah. But he's also like completely different than how he's portrayed in this. He's like rich and like well-to-do, and his parents don't really pay any attention to him, and he's not artistic. He's kind of like a weird autistic kid, but he is like a super psychic.
As long as he's some kind of autistic.
He's a super psychic just because Stephen King is obsessed with psychic power.
Well, he's got a shine on him. The Overlook Hotel makes an appearance in this movie. The car from Christine makes an appearance in this movie.
Did I fall asleep? When the hell did they show the Overlook? When did
in the psychiatrist's office, like when there's an earthquake, he grabs a picture that falls off, and it's a picture of the Overlook Hotel.
I totally missed it. I saw the Pennywise thing.
Yeah. So ananywho,
which again is stupid because that wouldn't be in Midworld where he finds it, but whatever.
Yeah, so Jake's got, he's having visions of the Man in Black and of the Dark Tower, and he said if the Dark Tower falls, it's going to be fire and brimstone and hell and shit, and everybody's like everyone thinks that Jake's, just losing his mind because he's sad about his dead dad. So his hot mom from Vikings and his kind of mid-looking stepfather decide that
shout out to all the mid-looking dudes with hot girlfriends. Hell yeah, we love you.
They're like, we're gonna send you to Psychic Town or some such, and they're calling over the brain boat to ship the kid away.
Too much of a normie for Normie Town. Too much of a psychic for Psychic Town.
So, but he has this like supervision where he's really focusing, and then he sees Roland and Roland's dad, who was the president in everything.
Come on. You know who?
It's Joe Boo.
He's Serrano from Major League.
Serrano from Major League.
Now, give me a break.
So anywho,
if you see that guy, you don't think of Major League. I don't even know who you are. Come on now.
So he's been fighting a forever battle with Walter O'Dim because he's a gunslinger and his guns are made of Excalibur for some reason, and now Walter's got wind of the fact that there's this super psychic kid on the block, and now we want him. But
Walter is a wizard. He's a dark wizard, but they don't I felt like one of the things that this movie doesn't really explain his character at all, or what he is or why he is. It's very odd.
He's pure evil, an agent of chaos.
But give me some drop lines or something, because I know who he is because I read the books. But didn't you think it was kind of weird that he's just this guy with powers and the Word of God and all this stuff, and it was just it seemed very not fleshed out at all.
I don't know. He can talk everyone into dying or killing themselves. So
it's the Word of God. It's from, you read Preacher, didn't you?
Yeah. He's got
the Jesse Custard thing. He literally tells you to do something and you do it.
Yeah. Anywho, so now he's he catches. So kid doesn't want to go to the psych ward zone because the people that are there have weird fingers and loose skin. He's like, oh, these are part of the bad guys. I can't go. I just had a dream about a creepy house. So he runs away. They chase him. He goes to the creepy house. He gets attacked by a floorboard demon.
No, hold on.
And he
posted a picture of the house that he drew online. Does anybody recognize this house? The third response, know where this house is. The third response is up your butt.
Yeah. It's classic.
Dude, I didn't even see that. All right, it's get an extra point because of that. I missed that.
Oh, I was dying. I was like, yep, perfect. And then the next response is yeah, that house is over on Maple Lane in Brooklyn.
Right, yeah, because you would remember that house. It looks like every other goddamn house.
So he goes to the house.
I hate in video games when it's an open world game and you find a photo and you have to it's over here. I hate that shit. Who remembers that crap? Nobody.
No one. So then he goes to the house. He fights the floorboard demon using his mind and the power of saying stop. Because he found a hidden wall ATM machine that he punched in 1919 in, and then that sucks him through to Midworld. Or Midgard, or whatever
you're right.
It's called.
You're right, Midworld. That's where Roland lives.
And then he hangs out, he finds Roland's camp, and he sucks his bottle, and then Roland's like, what the fuck, dude? And then they have a tete-a-tete, and he hands him some pictures, and Roland almost throws him off a cliff, but he's like, your name's Roland, right? Your dad's dead, right? All right, cool. Let's go fight this magician. So they're like, I bet. And then they start wandering around, and then they fight some night scorpions, and Roland catches one in the arm, and then they go to a village, and the village has a seer, and the seer's like, okay, I'm gonna help straighten your shit out. Oh, by the way, we've got a portal. We're going to portal you across to the machine, the psychic gun level, but because it's 6 months travel otherwise. And then they send a bunch of, I don't know, the bad guys from Firefly after everybody in the village, and then they end up
the
bad
the
guys.
Reavers.
If you typed in like generic villain people, like they were, first of all, they look stupid, and they also made like the rawr, like it was
Right.
like it was awful. It felt like, I know this is years before they could do it, but it felt like they just fed it into an AI, and this is what came out. Like,
yeah, so they were like, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna power up our one portal, and we're gonna send you back to New York because there must be a base in New York, and then from New York you can go back to their home base and fuck everything up. But then the bad guys show up, and then they take Jake, and then Roland goes to New York. Oh, no, wait. Him and Roland both go to New York. They find out that Jake's mom got flambéed. They don't know what to do. Jake gets over it lickety fucking split. Like, he gets over it faster than I've ever seen him. Like, I've been sadder about fallen pizza. Like, I don't know how he did it, but here we are. They go to a warehouse where Murphy tuned in his fucking RoboCop sights on baby food. They chant the chant of forgetting the face of their dads, and they shoot a bunch of guns at stuff. And now we're Gucci, fam. And then they're going to try and find out what's what. Now at some point, Jake gets snatched, and sent, back to Blue MacGuffin, Blue Haven, Blue Heaven.
Yeah,
and he's going to use his brains to go blast the tower. But now Roland's like, I got it. And he attacks the base, and he kills, what's the 3-name banger from Watchmen, who's Jackie Earle Haley?
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley is in this movie. He looks like, he looks kind of like Joey Pants from The Matrix in this movie.
He's got like this, like the soul patch that goes down to his Adam's apple.
I know this steak isn't real.
Dude, based fucking Joey Pants. Like,
I've said it 1,000 times. He made the correct decision.
He made the fucking call. Plug me back in. Why you want to eat goop?
Why the fuck would I want to wake up in the real world where I get to live in dirt? And fuck that. Like, yeah, Matrix,
give me the fucking Matrix.
100% give me the Matrix.
So, anywho, he shoots his way through. Now, I will say this about this. I thought, because when I read the book, when they were talking about the finger dancing and like how Roland would load his guns,
it was pretty good.
I thought that they did that really well in this movie.
I agree.
Because I thought it was like exactly in my head how it happens. Like, it defies physics.
Unfortunately, I felt that like the shootouts as a whole were really bad. Like, they didn't really, like, the way they were shot, I felt was like super flat. But I agree, like, I liked how, because like in the books it's like described as like the gunslingers are like kind of magical, like mystical in the way that they can do things. And I thought like his reloading and stuff was like super rad. But I felt like when you actually had like the gunfighting, it was like, oh, like it was so like just flat.
No, it should have been it should have been Equilibrium. It should have been Shoot 'em Up.
Yeah, it should have been something cool, or again, like over the top. Like, I think that's the biggest problem I have with this entire movie, right? It's so flat and dull. Like, everything. Nothing takes like a swing. Like, there's no real look to this movie. Like, everything is kind of just there. The action sequences are just kind of boring and flat. Like, there's nothing like dynamic about this movie. Like,
no.
And it's even like, you know, Matthew McConaughey is basically like the Devil Jr. He's just like, he just talks kind of like Dennis in that one episode where he was like, they're at the ski resort. Like,
yeah, he's like a slight handsome megalomaniac.
Yeah, it was just like, and also like McConaughey, when he's not like being charismatic, it just sucks the life out of the room. Like with him being like monotone and like quiet. That's not what you want from Matthew McConaughey.
No, he needed to be like
unless it's True Detective, but that's different because then he's like suicidal and charismatic.
You need him to be like Albert Brooks in Drive. You need him to be like completely like very evil, but very just full of just personality. Actually, like Randall Flagg in The Stand. They should have been more like that.
That guy sucks though.
Yeah, agreed.
Fuck you, Jamie Sheridan.
Wait, what did he do? Did he do something bad?
No, I thought he was the worst part of The Stand.
Yeah, Randall Flagg in the books, though.
Did you ever finish the last one that they did? I only watched 2 episodes and it was not good.
I did. It's fucking wacky. It's not good. Although Alexander Skarsgård as Randall Flagg I thought he was very good.
I mean, he's great.
Most of the other cast is weak. The only thing I liked about it is if you've read like the full his like final edition of it, it's like 1,500 pages.
I have it, yeah.
They have a scene at the end where after the nuke goes off in Vegas, Randall Flagg gets like flung to like Guatemala or someplace where it's like a native tribe that's never encountered people before. And in the show, they actually show that he like,
oh, that's cool.
He like lands there, like somewhere in like Central America. And there's like a tribe and one of the guys like tries to throw a stake through him and he just literally blows the guy to bits with a flick of his finger. And then the rest of the tribe just like bows down before him, just like at the end of the book, which is really cool. But we're not here to talk about.
Well, you can tell how bad this. You can tell how much we hate this movie. We keep talking away from the movie.
I honestly didn't hate it as much as you guys did, but I never read the books. I have no reverence for the source material aside from reading a bunch of Stephen King books and knowing what you're talking about, like the different universes he goes into. Do they go to the Hearts in Atlantis universe?
Yes.
Or what about the Insomnia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I think in Hearts of Atlantis, aren't the villains the Unmen in that story?
I think so.
That's the fucking faceless people in this movie. That's the same. Those are the same characters, or like the same type of character.
I never read that book.
It's good.
Most of the books are good. So, like, I really like Insomnia a lot, but I haven't read it in years. I never read Insomnia. The Regulators and what's the companion book to that?
I can't remember.
There's one there's the Regulators, Desperation. Is it Desperation?
Desperation, yeah. Desperation's cool.
Or it's like one's written, as stupid as this sounds, one's written by Stephen King and one's written by Richard Bachman. So like the same characters, but they're in totally different situations with different personalities.
Really I do remember that.
But I like both of those a lot. I don't know that any of those characters would be memorable enough to show up in the Dark Tower. At some point, I need to just read the Dark Tower because
you should.
I've read so much of his stuff. I just get so frustrated by his. Actually, I don't think I've read anything of his that he'd written before or since I read Cell. Because the ending of that pissed me off so bad.
Cell's not. But did you read? You didn't read the one about the Kennedy assassination?
1963 now.
That one's super good. That's my favorite Stephen King book.
The show's pretty good. Did you watch the show? It's on Hulu. At least it was. They might have taken it off. The show's pretty good. All right, we got to finish this movie. We're almost done the movie.
Yeah, all right, fine. So anyway, Roland shoots his way through the thing. The kid resists the fucking mind laser. Roland finally does the impossible and shoots Walter O'Dim in the chest because he shoots the alpha bullet. Walter catches a hot one.
This fucking fight between Walter and Roland is so bad too. Like just fucking Matthew McConaughey doing like the jazz, like the wizard hands.
He's just using the force. It's
so
just
bad.
Dumb.
It looks.
But then they blow up the mind gun, and now Jake and Roland are family, and he's going to become a gunslinger because the rest of his family is dead or burned up and same. So now they're bros. Defending the tower, and that's the movie.
Yeah, that's the movie. What a weird ass adaptation of
super.
Well, it's also weird. It's just weird because the whole series is called The Dark Tower, right? So to like name this movie The Dark Tower is so
Right.
odd. I mean, the 7th book is called The Dark Tower, I believe. But, like, it's weird. It's just a weird place. It's like, I can't even, it's almost like if you, if you were like, we're going to make a Dune movie, but we're going to do it after Chapter House Dune and just, like, talk about the whole 6,000 years that this story happened. Like, what? Like, you're going to be lost. Like, it was just, from the jump, it was just kind of a weird way to start, like, a movie. Like, that you had too much to cram in, so then the actual plot that they went with is, like, too little, if that makes any sense.
It doesn't make sense to me why, because, like, obviously they're trying to start a universe.
Sure, yeah.
Like, because everybody wants to start a universe right now, because that's how you make money in Hollywood. You start a universe that people get invested in and want to keep. Look, I mean, Marvel's made 35 fucking movies now off of it, and they're like the richest company on earth. But why would you kill Randall Flagg at the end of this one, or what's it, Walter, whatever?
Yeah,
at the end of this one, like, it doesn't, like, because from what I understand, he's in all the books. Like, the whole series of books is about their back and forth, right? Roland and the Man in Black.
Yeah, more or less. I mean,
or at least for the most part. Like, why would you, like, you made this movie, like, it's almost like they made this movie knowing it was going to be bad and that they weren't going to have a chance for a universe. Like, why would you kill him right at the end of the movie or at the end of the first movie?
Yeah.
I don't understand that, like, one bit.
Also, it's not earned, right? Like, you know, in the books, Roland is going after him literally for, like, his entire life. And in this, it's like he gets killed in 80 minutes. It's like, what?
Well, in this, like, Roland also, like, had, like, given up on killing him and just lucked out that this kid showed up that he wanted.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's probably what leads to the whole, it's a sequel, not a retelling, right? Because maybe Roland at this point is like, he's done with it. Like, it's...
Yeah, but Roland having the horn, basically he's, how do I put this? So he doesn't, in the way the book describes it, him having the horn, he's not, when he goes back to the desert to follow the Man in Black, he doesn't, it's old boy rules. He may or may not remember everything that happened that came before. So that still doesn't play. That's why I don't think that theory is correct. I think they just took a bunch of shit from the books. Like, at one point, you saw Matthew McConaughey looking into his fucking Sauron orb. That's from the books. That's a seer stone. Like, he had that in the books too, but, like, why did he have it here? I don't know. Like, that's not what they did in the book, so I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's a mess, and it's also, just
it's like I said when I started talking about this. You have a series that's so rich in, like, so many different genres, right? Like, again, it's Western, it's high fantasy, it's science fiction, it's horror. It's got all these interesting elements, and you really just squeezed everything out of it. Like, there's nothing left. Like, there's nothing. I feel like it's just so flat and boring, and just, there's nothing that, like, sticks out and go, man, that's really different. That's really interesting. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't expect that. Like, it's just, there's no, like, character here. Like, as someone, like, that never read the books, I'd watch this and be like, well, why did they make 8 books on this? There's nothing to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's very odd. It's a very odd film. Like, I was watching this just dumbfounded and confused as to why they did what they did. And I mean, like, I remember when they first announced this, people were upset that Idris Elba was Roland. I'm like, I don't give a shit if he's great. Like, I don't care that he's black. Like, who gives a shit? Like, is the movie going to be good? And the answer is no. And it's just like, well, you know, in the original, like, Clint Eastwood was definitely the clear inspiration. It's like, okay, what are you going to cast Clint Eastwood? He's 87 years old. Like, what are you going to do?
No,
like,
it wasn't. This isn't Idris Elba's fault. This is, like, the writing's fault. This is like, you had this big, weird, wild universe that they barely explore. They barely flesh out, like...
And it's super weird. Like, and it's weird pretty much, like I said, the beginning, about the halfway point of the Gunslinger, it's basically a straight Western. There's little hints that they're in a weirder world than you understand. But then they have a shootout, and then shit gets fucking crazy, and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, and I think, personally, that makes an interesting movie. That alone would be cool. Like, I always like the part in a movie where, like, the floor falls out and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? You know what I mean? Like, fucking, Gogs brought up, me and him and Analog were talking about fucking Titan the other day. That movie's fucking insane. You fucking starts out and you're at this, like, car club strip show. Then this girl kills somebody. Then she gets fucked by a car. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I love
What
it.
is
It's
happening?
insane. What the hell is happening? Like, give me some weird shit. Give me, like, the books are filled with weird shit. Give me something, man. I need something. Give me that tasty weird. Love it.
No.
But no. And Matthew McConaughey, who is just great all the time, is so bad in this. Like, he's just awful in this movie. Also, they do the thing that I can't stand. Not only can I not stand when they have a fantasy world and they're like, oh, we got to put it on Earth. They made a fucking kid the main character. Don't make kids the main fucking character. Like, that's stupid. Roland is the main character. Make Roland the main character. Jake does not need to be the fucking main character. Also, it's PG-13. So it's bloodless and stupid and there's no like real horror element to it. I don't know. It's not for me, dog. Alec was the, let's see. Was the sense of scale your favorite part in this film?
The rat-faced people were my favorite part.
Oh, I forgot about the rat-faced people.
When you're in my house, put on a proper face.
And the one chick from Road Warrior, the Dag.
And from Neon Demon, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, you picked a hot face.
And it's funny, because when she has dark hair, she looks kind of like Jenny Ortega, which is really weird.
I thought for half the movie it was Cara Delevingne.
Oh yeah, kind of looks like her too.
Enchantress from
that and movie also from that movie that I watched that I wanted to kill
Valerian.
Valerian and the story of 1,000 planets or whatever.
We should have watched that as a double feature with Jupiter Ascending.
Oh,
it's like those. What's that meme? It's like things that are like in the same things written in the same font.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I didn't hate this movie as much as you guys. I appreciate the fact that it's only an hour and a half long.
It seems so much longer to me. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. It was short.
And like this type of movie is usually not short.
Well, it shouldn't have been. It had a lot to cover.
But like, I don't know. I don't have any backstory to it, so I didn't mind some of the stuff they did. Like, yeah, it was bloodless, and there should have obviously a Stephen King story should have blood. The violence was not great, but I did like little things like the up your butt.
That was great, yeah.
When they're sitting at the campfire, like eating beans or whatever, and Roland's like, "Tell me, on your planet are there guns?" Like, oh, you're really gonna like Earth? I was like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
he's gonna cream his jeans as soon as he walks into this gun store. Those demons that they fought, or whatever they were, the ones that took the form of their like loved ones.
Yeah,
that's like what I would think a demon would look like if you just typed into like an AI, it'd be like
right,
scary shape-shifting demon.
Yeah,
and that's what it would spit out.
Yeah,
like they look so bad and so terrible.
Like all the designs in this movie were just really bad. Like I don't know. It felt like a TV movie at times. Like it felt like really low budget and like I think I know it was like, I think it was like 60 or 70 mil. So it's like it is kind of low budget for movies nowadays. But
for something like this, for a Stephen King movie, yeah, that's like, and it's surprising, but also not surprising based on what I saw on screen.
Yeah.
It's surprising that that's the limit of what they would have given for it based on like the lore and it being a Stephen King property. But how it looks, that's not shocking at all.
What sucks is that this is one of those movies, well, specifically, like, a bunch of people have wanted to make, The Gunslinger for a long time. And it's one of those movies that got kicked around to 8,000 people. And then I don't know if this Dark Tower script is one of those same things, but I know that the Gunslinger, Frank Darabont wanted to make it for a long time. Like, famously, in the beginning of The Mist, what's his name? Jesus Christ, I can't remember. Thomas Jane. So he's painting Roland in the Dark Tower. That he's working on a painting, and it's a Dark Tower. But Darabont put that in there because he was hoping after the success of The Mist that they'd let him make the Gunslinger. And he wanted Thomas Jane as Roland, apparently, which I thought would have been good.
The Mist was not super successful, was it? That's more like a cult.
Well, what I'm saying is he was hoping that would have been successful. No, yeah, all of Frank Darabont's movies are like that. Like the guy only made good movies, but that's not true. He made one of the Exorcist sequels, but generally he makes good movies. Oh no, that wasn't him. That was Paul Schrader. Anyway, sorry. He wanted to make. He's like Mike Flanagan, where he made a whole bunch of Stephen King adaptations, and he wanted to make the Gunslinger, but never got a chance. So now Mike Flanagan's got the next chance. So we'll see how that goes. I'm glad because at first I thought it was I think when I originally saw Flanagan post something on TikTok, I thought it was going to be a movie, and now finding out it's a TV show, I'm like way more excited about it because I feel like a movie or a TV show is the way to go if you want to tell like a long form story. Like you have so much more time to fit in like a ton of shit from the books. Whereas in a movie, you got to cram stuff down. Anyway, anything else, guys?
No.
Dogs, you still there?
Yeah.
Sleep? Oh, I thought you fell asleep. Anything else, Dogs?
No.
5 knuckle shuffle time.
One.
One.
It's not good. No, it's boring.
Bad. It's very bad.
And I want to like these things. It's a classic. It's a classic. I want to like it. It's got just like from a concept and cast perspective, I would be pulling for it. It's just they fucking biffed it. Like it's no good. It's I love Idris Elba. I love Matthew McConaughey. I like the Dark Tower. I think it's cool. I think it's a neat story. It's a neat universe. And they just shit the bed. So this is what you get. This is why you got a 16 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, sometimes
you said 17 earlier. Did it go down a point since?
It's deflating as you speak. Yeah. I've been adding to it as we've been sitting here. Well, they just heard movie the podcast says shit.
Not fresh.
Not 100% not fresh. I'm sorry. I will give you the actual. Oh, it dropped again. It's 15% right now, and falling.
Live tweeting the Dark Tower's demise on Rotten Tomatoes.
But yeah, 279 reviewers can't be wrong. So, yeah, it's shit. Don't watch it, or do. I don't care anymore. Do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want. It's your life.
It's your fucking life.
Live your life, man.
Yeah, go shit your ass.
Watch the Dark Tower. Watch the Dark Tower.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me, Alec.
I'm gonna give it 6. Like, wow. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was as bad as you guys, but it's definitely. I still don't think it's good, but it's right in that like 4, 5, 6 range. Like,
it's not bad enough for you to
memorable
forget
either. It didn't inspire any kind of like hatred or vitriol or anything like that. It's just like fine. Like a little less than fine. I guess I go to a 4, not a 6.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all in the same universe. Like it's all mid. It's just like, It is forgettable, so I'll give you that. Like it's very just.
It is forgettable.
Yes. I do like the what you call the voice of God stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he walks by the girl eating the popsicle, just like hate.
Yeah.
And she just turns around like she's gonna kill her mother. Don't breathe or stop breathing.
Yeah.
It tells the 2 demons or whatever to kill themselves. Like it's just.
Yeah, it's like kill each other.
And then he's like,
everybody else there, he's like, just watch it, enjoy.
Yeah, watch the show. Oh, God.
That's a pretty good McConaughey.
Thank you. It's easy to do.
All right. Watch the show, baby.
It kind of sounds more like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. Watch the show. Now
I thought you sound like Paul Lind.
Watch the show, boys.
Watch the show, boys.
Don't forget to use your nails.
Hey, boy. Kill yourself, boys.
That's Gogs, the Scoutmaster.
The Scoutmaster.
All right, who's left?
You.
It's a
and you
fucking,
know it's you.
It's a 0. I fucking hate this movie.
Damn.
I hate this movie, and I'm sorry. I have way too much reverence for the source material, and this was torture. Like, this is, I mean, I don't know if I've seen a worse adaptation. Like, I just am so confused by this whole movie. But it's
certainly
so,
not adaptation.
It's so, no, that movie's awesome. It's also not an adaptation. That's kind of did you ever see that movie?
No, I never saw adaptation.
Oh, brilliant. So the movie is called Adaptation because it's a movie.
It's wholly original?
No, it's a movie. You gotta, first of all, watch Adaptation. It's great.
All right,
it's a movie about a script that they're writing in the movie. It's great. One of the best Nicolas Cage performances ever. Nicolas Cage plays a fake character in that movie, and he's credited as a screenwriter on the screenplay, and that fake character almost won an Oscar because the fake character was nominated to win an Academy Award.
My God.
It's a great movie. It's fucking great. I love Adaptation. Love it to death. Anyway. No, it's just really fucking bad, and I felt like this movie just hurt my soul to watch because it's just like, it just did everything I hate about like movies when they have to make it palatable for a general audience. It's like, strip out all the fucking weird science fiction, occult shit. Strip out all the Western shit. Put a kid in it because we gotta have I hate, as much as I still enjoy the first Hellboy movie. The thing I hate about it the most is that you have the guy that's new to the fucking, BPD, and it's just it's from his perspective, and I'm like, why don't do that? And then that Hellboy 2 is superior because Hellboy is the main character in Hellboy 2. Why do that? Why do the fucking we need a middle character to introduce the audience to the fucking character? No! Stop it! Nobody needs that shit. It sucks. I hate it. It's the worst. It almost never works. It works in Dread. That's maybe it. Dread, it kind of works. But I hate that
movie.
I hate that trope. I fucking hate that trope where it's like, oh, the audience isn't going to accept Roland as the main character. Why? Why not? He's a cool character. Why do I need another character? Why do we need to make this PG-13?
You know why.
Because he's a black cowboy? I don't know. I don't know, man. This movie sucks where it fucks and fucks where it sucks. Bringing that one back. I hated it. It's garbage. And, at least this shows people how shitty books are. That is one of the positives because we all know how I feel about reading. And this is kind of punishment.
This is from a book. I'm never reading.
Right, exactly. This is kind of punishment for me reading so much. Think about it. I read 9 books and a whole bunch of comics.
And you gave this a 0. Alec read 0 of these books, gave it a 6.
And he loved it. Yeah, it's his favorite movie.
Yep.
Anyway, that's the show.
My best of list for the year.
What's November's month?
Readings for assholes.
What's November's month, Dogs?
It's Thanksgiving.
Yup. Thanksgiving. Oh, Tom Hanks movies. Oh, Tom Hanks.
Thanksgiving. Right.
I have a pick.
Go ahead.
Because I really like to watch this movie again. Road to Perdition.
That's a banger.
Can we watch that? Is that good with everybody? I haven't watched it since it came out, and I remember really liking it.
That movie, yeah.
I remember Jude Law was the shit in that.
He's fucking menacing.
All right, Road to Perdition next week. Thanksgiving. Nice. That's one of our that's a great theme. That's a good one.
Thanksgiving.
All right, everybody. That's the show. Road to Perdition next week. Can't wait.
Get loose.
Fun fact about Road to Perdition, based on a comic book, and the writer and the artist never met each other until the premiere of the film. Isn't that crazy?
There you have it.
Yep, they worked through
weird, wild stuff.
Yeah, they worked via email and stuff. I guess the writer just sent the artist the script and then he drew it, and the book came out, and they never met each other until the movie came out, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Shout out to internet, I suppose.
Also, the comic's not very good, but anyway, the movie's good. Anyway, well, we'll see. I haven't seen it since it came out. I think it's good. Might suck. Who knows?
There's a kid in it, so we'll see how it goes. Bye, everyone.
The kid's not the main character, though.
That's important.
And it's pertinent to the story. The reason the fucking, never mind. You know why the kid being in this movie, in Dark Tower, is fucking stupid. Don't act like you don't.
Is it pertinent?
Yes. Also, the Broncos played "Shake It Off" as they walked off the field after they beat the
that is that is tremendous.
That's pretty funny. All right, everybody.
I mean, that was the first time they beat the Chiefs in 8 years.
Oh,
and they play them twice a year.
I believe it. Alrighty. Jack those dicks.
Hmm.
Bye-bye.